sent it to me, said, hey, can we do something on this? And I totally spent some time learning it. And then when I went to show it to Danielle, one of my other captains, everything that I had done was not there. So I was like, okay, I'm not even going to show you guys this because I don't want you guys to put in work and then have it not be there. That is a waste of time. So I'm going to show you the kind of simpler way to do it, where you guys actually get to pick what students are in which group, because I know that's really important for reading. All right, so I'm just going to share my screen with you. Entire screen, this one, share. Okay, so hopefully you guys see my slides. Can I just get a thumbs up that you guys see that? Okay, great. Okay, so this is the original template that I actually found when I was trying to look for breakout rooms for you guys and kind of like templates. This is what they give you. It's honestly really boring. That's what I think. I don't really like the way it looks. Yes, it's really simple. And I mean, you guys can kind of see this and figure it out. You would replace the student X's with their names and group them how you want to do. And then they have this little button where they get to pick or click on to put them in that meet with their groups. Now, I just rearranged this on the second slide, and I will share this with you guys if you would like, where it looks kind of more like stations, and this is a little bit more colorful, a little bit more fun. It kind of takes the group out of it, and then they just click on it to join. You can see I've already linked them. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. But I want you to know what you're going to need before you actually get to this point, because if you can just imagine having 4 Google Meets open, that's going to be kind of hectic. It's going to be loud. How are you going to control it, right? So what there is this is mute tab, and I will drop this in the chat so that way you guys have a link to it. And what that is, it's an extension, so that way you can mute the entire tab all at once. So when you have all these meets open, I'll just open one just to show you guys. And then you can see this will actually mute it. It won't let me do that, I guess. The meeting code you entered doesn't work. Of course it doesn't. That would happen right now. Oh, because I didn't relink them. I linked the other ones. Okay, so you get the point that I would open the Google Meet, and then what would happen is you would just click this button and it would mute that entire tab. So that way you can pop into a room, see what those kids are doing, comment on what they're doing, right? Say, hey, are you guys on task? What did we, where did we get to? What did you pull out of the passage? I don't do a lot of reading like you guys do, so you guys know the questions that you would be asking. So what's really nice is you can turn off and turn on that mute the entire meet, and then hop into another one, and then mute that entire tab, and then hop into another one. Meanwhile, you can still have them all open. So if I were to make this small, right, and you can, of course, always just drag it out and see all the meets at one time. I'm just going to pause. Does that make sense so far? The mute tab? Okay, cool. All right, great. So next, if you went and you put in all your students, right, and then you want to make this meet. So in your calendar, what I do is I go into a day that is way in the past. It's not going to mess anybody up. There's no meeting already there. It's not going to time out, anything like that. And you can see that I have these little calendars that I've already made and given them a meet link. So how you do that, super simple. You just click on the day. You can just label it breakout room 1. And then add a Google Meet video conferencing. And then you're just going to save it. And then when you open it up, you're going to grab this link right here. So you don't actually have to do this and copy it. You can just click this little duplicate button. So I'm just going to copy it. And then I'm going to go back into here, right click, and you can see that you can link this. Why is this not? So Control K is the easy way to do it because it's already linked and it doesn't want to let me do it. So Control K is the shorthand on how to link something, just like Control V is how you paste it. You can see that's my Google Meet link, and I'm just going to hit apply. And then when I click on it, there's my new Google Meet. I'm just going to join it so that way I can show you that you can be in 2 Google Meets at once, and then I can mute that tab, and you can see that it's muted because it has that little M there. I'm going to X out of it so you guys don't see a big me.
We like seeing a big me.
Thanks. You don't have to say that. You don't have to say that. Okay, so what you would do is you would just link each one. They each have to have their own link. So you can see that's why I have multiple rooms here. And you can reuse these links. You do not have to delete them. You can reuse them. You can create this template for each class and use the same links and just change out the students. And like I said, you can open all 4 of these. You can open 6 of them if you want smaller groups, and you would just mute the tabs individually. And I'm trying to think if that's really most of it. I mean, that's really the simple way of doing breakout rooms, creating the students in those groups and then having them click to join. Everything else is going to be just having it up on your screen, seeing what the kids are doing, and then popping into those rooms. I don't know if you guys want to do it. I didn't even set it up to do that, but we can certainly try. Go ahead, Virg.
So if they're using like a dot camera or some way that they're sharing text, how do you do that using? I'm confused because if you're going between meets and you have it under a dot camera, it'll just show.
Okay. So hold on. So when you say so you're talking about it's still teacher led with the dot cam?
Yes.
Okay, so what I would do is this would be something where I have my one-on-one, right? Because we have to teach for whatever it is, 20 or 40 minutes. I believe it's 40 minutes. So I would do all of that with the dot cam with the one Google Meet. And then what you would do, that was the last thing I wanted to show you, is how to make it so that way this is a preview for them. So what you're going to do, I'm still presenting. Yeah, okay. So if you see up here, this is called the Omnibox. I used to call it the URL holder, but then I found out it was called an Omnibox. And if you find this word edit, and then you just highlight it and delete everything after edit and put in the word preview. And this is what you would give the students. This is what they would see. And so they can't edit it, they can't move it. All they do is click, and because the links are still going to work. So you would start in your whole classroom meet, do your dot cam and what you need to do whole class, and then give this preview to them and say, okay, now we're going to go into small group. Everybody has their own breakout room. I'm going to be monitoring, and it really should be student led at that point, where you're just popping in and making sure everything is copacetic.
Okay, so when we go into small group, we don't want it student led. Like maybe 3 groups are doing their own thing, but one group, the teacher is going to be leading it because that's how we're going to get them through the reading.
Okay, that makes sense. So then that one group is the one that you would really be focused on, but then realize that those other 3 or 4 groups, they're muted and you're not really hearing what's going on because you're focused on that one group.
Right.
So that's the only downside.
Welcome to the wonderful world of reading. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Like, we're here, you guys go over there.
So I do see that there's a question. If you use mute tab, is it so that they don't bother the other groups, but they can still hear each other? The mute only is muted for you. And on your computer, they can still hear each other fine, and they can still see you and know that you're there and able to pop in, but you're not going to hear the extra noise, so that way it doesn't bother all the other groups. That's the purpose. Go ahead, Lauren.
Jody, is there a way that, like in Zoom, when they do the breakout groups, they can kind of like time it out and then force them all back into the main one? Is there a way to do that yet?
So they are planning on doing a new feature for Meet where it is breakout rooms, but unfortunately we're not an enterprise district yet. So once we become an enterprise district, then we'll get those features. However, I don't know if the feature is going to be specific enough to say I want these students together and these students together, or if it's going to be totally random. I don't know. The extension that I had looked at was totally random. So I'm not sure if that's what they're using or if they're going to make it super specific. That part hasn't really been released to us yet.
Is there a way that like after you, like if you stop the breakout groups using this method that you can kind of make the link die so that they can't go back into that room? I don't know if die is too extreme, but you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. I like turn it off essentially. So no, honestly, that's not something, especially because it's going to be something way back in the calendar. Now, if you're using those same 4, 5, or 6 links for all your classes, you're going to know right away. You can, of course, change them every day or every class if you wanted to. It's not that hard. It is pretty simple to basically go into this. And if I edit the event, you can see that you can change this. You can edit this.
Okay.
So if you wanted to do that, you could do that. That's really up to you and how well you know your students. Obviously, I know that we don't really know our students at this point. I always start off really hardcore with my kids on being, like dictatorship. And then as we go on, we can be a little bit more lenient. But in the beginning, especially because we're not face to face, I would just be really stern about our expectations.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. When I pop into a peer group, can I unmute it? Yeah. So that's what's great about this little mute tab is you're gonna have that option on every single tab. So once you pull up that tab, you'll just unmute it, and then there you go. I'm also going to show you this to you because right here, this little puzzle piece, we used to not have this. Chrome just put this. It's like a task manager. You guys should have it too. I actually downloaded one because it wasn't there originally. And if you drop that down, you can pin or unpin all your extensions. So maybe there's one that you don't use very often, and therefore you can unpin it. So unpinning it is going to take it off the top. So if I unpin, you'll see it goes away. And then if I pin it again, it'll put it right back up there. So if you're using mute tab, but you don't need it all the time and it's like in the way, you can just unpin it and then repin it when you need it. That's just something to kind of make this not really enormous and long. Just another little tidbit.
Jody, I have a question. I just want to make sure that I'm clear on this. So what you're saying is that in whole group you would put up the slide with the breakout rooms that had each, let's say we had four different breakout rooms like you have here. Each has a different code because essentially what you're doing is setting up 4 additional meets.
Correct.
Then those students would go in and join those meets and do whatever it is you've instructed them to do. They can then only hear each other. They're no longer part of the big group. They're only part of the small group, right?
Yep.
And then the teacher can go from group to group and monitor, talk, teach, whatever in between each of the groups by going in. And can you show us again how we maneuver from one group to the next?
Absolutely. So you have your one meet open with your class. You're going to give this to them as a preview. And then just like they're going to click to join, you're also going to click to join. But instead of just clicking one, you're going to click all 4. And what that's going to do, it's going to open up all the different meets in tabs. You will join all of them. And then as you join, you'll also mute them. So that way, not everybody hears everybody else.
Okay, so you join, you mute, and then when you go to visit that one group, you have to hit the unmute button.
You would just, that's exactly right. You would just, correct. Yep.
Okay.
So again, to manipulate the meet itself, you can, sorry, I did that a little fast. So you saw that when I click on it, it opens it in a new tab that is connected. To manipulate them, if you click on it, hold and drag it out, it'll open up and be really big, but then you can just kind of minimize it and change how big it is. So that way you can actually see all 4 or all 6 at the same time. And then it's easy to just hit that button real quick and mute it.
I have a question.
So in the group 2, it would come up in a grid and you could see 4 students up in that
Yep.
box. And then you could see another 4 in this box and another 4 in that box.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
And if you ever have an issue, I know you have a question, I'm sorry. If you do have an issue, you can always change the layout of how you see people. It's automatic that it is, there's an automatic one. I'm not really sure how it defaults, but then you can always go in and change it. Yeah, what was your question?
So the question I have is, so you'll have four small groups going on, but then you'll still have your original whole group. So if you want to go from small group back to whole group, then you have to end all these calls to go back to your original call?
So here's the thing is, for your big group, I would assume, because that's the way that I'm going to do it, that it's going to be through your Google Classroom, that you're just going to use that Google Classroom link. In case anybody didn't know, they did update that feature where it automatically is brand new every day. So you don't have to go in and turn it off or change it or anything like that. So every day your Google Classroom link does get updated. So that's where I would start your group meet. It also makes it so it's an easy link for them to re-find, but I would instruct your students, okay, go into here. You can either mute your big tab or just X out of it. I'll tell you when it's time to come back. And then it should be an easy thing for them to navigate right back to Classroom and reopen that link. Because sometimes my students don't like all the extra extensions, which they're not necessary. They just make things easier. So you could always instruct your students, okay, we're done with our group, our big group. We're going to go into breakout rooms and I'll let you know when we're going to reconvene.
And then you can have 4 groups and your original one going. So you have that open in case somebody else pops in, and then, all right, everybody come back together. And then they would just go back to their original by hitting the link back in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then someone said, can I record all the groups? Every meet that you create, as long as you create the link, you can record them. So you can record every single one. Absolutely. So that way, you know, in case something happens and you need to hold people accountable. Sure. Yeah. Any other questions? I know this was really short and fast. I didn't expect it to be so quick.
I have another question. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to think of all the questions that later on you might say, oh, I wish I would have known. So when we go into like group A, as a teacher, we can go in and present to group A. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So we can then take over and we can do the presentation and all of that. And then we could go into B and present. Okay.
Yep.
Great.
You can still, so everything that you would normally do in your group, in your big group, you can still do in your small groups. I did see another question come in. Would students be able to stop the recording? I don't believe so. Can you guys stop my recording? I don't think so. Yeah, no. So they should not be able to stop it either. There are some things that I've tried, but because I do a lot of trial and error on my own, I don't necessarily know until there are other people on the other end of the screen. Did you have another question, Verge? You looked like you were working.
No, I just want to know where everybody's comfort level is with this. Do you want to do a little walkthrough while Jody is still here and give it a try? Do you want to try it on your own? Tell me what you guys are thinking.
You got, yeah, I was going to say, come on mute. Yeah, Tracy.
I actually been working on this all morning for my classes, setting them up. And I've got 2 students I'm meeting with at 12:30 to test it with students. And I set it up basically like this, not quite as fancy, but this is exactly how I figured it has to work. So I'm glad to see I was on the right train. So I've got it, and I can show you what I created this morning so far, if you want, but this is where I am.
Awesome. So I just dropped the link. If you guys want my template, you're more than welcome to use it, copy it. I just ask that if you do take the template, instead of like editing what you see, go to file and make a copy. So that way everybody has their own and you can manipulate it from there and make it your own if you'd like.
Sadine, how are you feeling? You feel pretty comfortable with it?
I guess for me, it's going to be more of a trial and error once I get into it. And I mean, it's just pretty much just inserting links in here for the kids to just click join, and probably just going through it with the kids really slowly so that they know, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to hit this link, or, you know, so figuring out how detailed I'm going to be in my explanation of this.
Yeah, I think that the directions with them and the expectations is probably going to be the biggest thing. And once I mean, if you go slow for the first 2 weeks, I think by the end of the first month, they'll know what they're supposed to do. As long as we are diligent and making sure that it's always the same every single day with our expectations and what we're asking them to do.
Yeah, and I don't think that we should wait very long to do the breakout rooms, get them used to it, you know, like maybe not day 1, but day 2, even if you didn't really plan on doing something with the breakout, plan something so that you can teach the procedures right up front and get that out of the way. Nuke, how you feeling? You feel okay with it?
As far as, are you able to hear what's going on in the other rooms while you're in another room?
Only if you aren't, like if you don't mute them, then you can hear. But if you've muted them, then you will not hear it. That's why I suggest that even though they'll come up as tabs like this, that you bring them out and make them small boxes so that way you can still see what's going on even if you can't hear it. And it'll be an easier like click over, if that makes sense.
Do that. Show me what you mean by bring it out.
Okay,
show me again.
So that was if I click it, right, and it'll bring out a brand new tab here. So I'm gonna bring this tab out and separate it from all the other ones. And that's just a click and hold and drag and it'll separate it. Once I let go, it takes the entire screen, but I don't want it to take the entire screen. So I'm gonna hit this middle button where it's not minimizing it, it's just making it smaller. And then I have the ability to actually adjust the size of this. And I'm just gonna do that with all of them where I bring the tab out, adjust it, and make it smaller and fit onto my screen so I can see all of them all at once.
And how did you make it smaller?
Okay, so again, I'm just gonna click it to join, right? And it'll give me that link. It opens up brand new. So again, I'm gonna click and hold and drag it down so it's separated. It expands, and then over here by the X or the minimize, you have this button in between where it just makes it smaller.
Right.
And then you just, by any of the corners, you'll get this little arrow to change the size of the entire tab.
I learned something today. Well, I learned a lot of things, but I learned a computer trick. I didn't know how to do that. I knew how to minimize it. I didn't know once it was minimized that you could
Change
go.
the size.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nuke. What you got?
Good thing to know. Karen, you got a question?
I do. Was Newquist going to speak?
She was, but I can't hear her.
Okay. I'm still confused about when do the Google Meets shut down? Whether it's for the whole group one or the small group ones. Is it
Okay,
when
so
we're having that issue about
what do you mean by shut down?
So at the end of a class,
Mhm.
All the students have logged out of their small groups. They've logged out of their out of the big group, out of the main group, and then I hang up my phone. Does that mean nobody else can go back into the group at that point?
With your classroom code, yes. With these codes that you've made, no.
So then what's going to prevent students from copying these codes?
Your classroom management.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I know that sounds kind of harsh, but unfortunately, that's the reality of it. When you make your own links, you don't have that ability to shut them off. But if you want the breakout room, so that's kind of the reason that I would actually suggest to not do different links all the time. Keep them the same links. Have your students know, I use these links for all of my students. You are not allowed to reuse these links because then you're going to come into my classroom when I don't have you as a student and you're going to ruin it for other students. And this is our education. You are not allowed to do that. And if you do, there will be consequences. And it's that simple. And if they do it, there are consequences.
Okay.
All right.
Jody, can you also explain the classroom code? And I don't know if you've met Ashley yet or not, Jody. Jody. Ashley is a brand new to Forest Hill, brand new to teaching, and
Yes.
brand new to virtual. Can you explain how we're going to be getting the class codes this year?
Okay, I can absolutely show you that. And then while I showed you that, somebody else asked me to show how to link. So I'm going to do both in one. So let's go ahead and open Classroom. So I'm just going to type in classroom.google.com. You can see it comes up because I'm there all the time. So here you can see I've already made all my classes for this year. Once you click one of them open, right here it says generate meet link. And you're just going to generate it and got it, generate it, copy, save, and making it visible to students. So this is going to be for that day. Saving. Now you have your Google Meet link, but this will only be until you are in it. Once you close it out, it's gone.
So every day now, that's how we're giving them their code. So we go into, on odd days, we create that for all of our odd classes. For even days, we do it for all of our even classes, and that would be part of our setup in the morning. Yes? Every day.
Yep.
Okay, everybody got that new system?
So wait a minute. So does that mean that
Go ahead, Tracy.
every class 1, 3, 5, and 7 has a different code?
Yep. So I'll go back and I'll show you, here's period 5. You're going to have to do it every single time. Generate a meet link.
Okay.
Okay.
And again, I have the same question with
Okay.
that link as well.
Uh-huh.
So if we do that, if I do that in the morning, I create my 4 links for the day.
Yep.
Does that mean that they could go into a link before I go into it?
No, so the new feature for this for Classroom, because they did hear that teachers didn't want students to be in there before them. They didn't want students to be in there after them. So it's totally based on the host, which is you. Once you create the meet link is essentially waiting for you to open it and join it and have your students join. And then you would wait for everybody to leave. Once you close it out, that meet link should be inactive. Again, I have not tried it because I don't have students yet to try this with, but that is how it was described to me.
Okay. So, but again, the small group links within that link don't function that way.
Correct.
Okay.
And that link is linked to your roster. Yes?
Yes. Yeah. So some of the other features that they have are the like they calling it a wait room or a knock to join, where and some of you guys probably saw that, where it was like you're waiting for somebody to allow you in. So that's part of this feature. If you kick somebody out, they cannot rejoin.
Yay.
So that's a big issue that we had last year. People that are not on your roster cannot join. So there's a lot of.
If they're not on your roster for that class, but can they go in the waiting room and you allow them? Let's say somebody missed your first grade and you say, well, come into my third. And if you allow them in, can they come in?
So I would assume that if you then shared the link, because they wouldn't be in that classroom to be able to see the link, but if you shared it with them, I would assume that they would have that same ability where they can knock and you can allow them in. Somebody asked another question about how do the kids pick up the link? So they see this link. So I'm just going to go into another one where I didn't do it, where it says generate meet link. You see down here where it says visible to students. So once you generate it, it says visible to students. You could turn it off, but you would want them to be able to see it. So then you would just hit save and then they can see it. And all they have to do is click on it and it goes right to this.
Okay, I have yet another question, Jody. Thank you for
Okay.
being so patient. So
course.
let's say that Karen Colombo has her classes set up for periods 3, 1, 3, and 5. She
Okay.
sends me a text and says, Verge, my internet is down because that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Can you help me out? So I'm going to go into her 3rd period class. Am I going to be able to, as a co in her class, am I
Yeah,
going to be
co-teacher.
able to do that link?
Absolutely. So co-teachers have the same capabilities as the teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys can do anything. That's why you guys still get all the same emails that we do and all that stuff that is probably super annoying to you guys.
Super annoying.
Yeah, so but yes, you get all of that as well. You totally can do anything that the teacher can do. I know a lot of co-teachers that actually, to like promote the collaboration, if one teacher has built a lesson, they will go into the classwork and they will add it as a new assignment, right? And they'll add it, they'll add whatever, thing that they made. And then instead of assigning it, they just save it. So that way the co-teacher can go in, look at it, and post it. So then there's that essence of collaboration where we worked together to post this assignment.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Hopefully. I know that somebody asked me to show them how to copy the link. I'm just going to go over that one more time. So once you have this event made with a Google Meet link, you can highlight it and hit Control-C or right-click and copy. Or again, you can just hit this where it'll copy the link for you. And then you're just going to go back over. You're going to right-click, and you should be able to link it. I don't know why that's not coming up, which is why I always use my shorthand keys, which is Control-K. So or Command. If you're using a Mac, it's Command-K. So by all means, you can try that. If you hit that and you hit Control-K, it'll give you that option where you can put a new link in. Right, so Control-K, paste it there, and you just hit apply. That's it.
Okay, one more question. So let's say that in my 1st, 3rd, and 5th period class, rather than putting student names up there, I called it group A, B, C, and D, and they know what group they're in. I've already done that. I've already signed A, B, C, and D to them. Okay, if you're in group A, go ahead and sign in. If you're in group B, go ahead. Can I reuse this template in periods 1, 3, and 5 with those links, or do I have to create a different one for every class?
No, so that's why, and Colombo was kind of saying this about, how do you control that those kids aren't re-going into those links? Well, if you use the same links the entire day, you're monitoring those links to see if those kids are, jacking around.
So essentially, guys, just like we make our rotation charts and we say, group, let's call it group A, here you are, group A, we can tell them, we can have one permanent or semi-permanent, because we know that we're always moving our groups, but we can have one semi-permanent list that says, and instead of saying group 1 and the student names, group A, you know who you are, group B, you know who you are, group C, you know who you are, hit that link. And once that's created, we can use that over and over again, and we don't have to keep creating it, just like when we do our rotation charts and put them up on the wall. Right? Am I saying that right, Jody?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So just to make it really quick, I don't know if you see what I'm doing over here also. I just took the same 4 click to joins, and then you just put a shape, make group A. You can just grab it over here and make this one B. And kind of go like that. If you'd rather it look like
keep going and share it.
Okay. Yeah, you got it.
Share that one with us too.
So listen, you guys already have this. If you just pull it open in the chat, this is the same document I already gave you. Okay. So you guys already have it.
So now we have
make this group A, B, C, and D. Bam. You guys got that.
Now you have 2 ways to group the kids. I'm recommending that you use that A, B, C, and you tell them who they are, just like we do in the classroom, and then move them from time to time with that flexible grouping so that you're not creating new sessions 3 times a day, every single day. You've already got it done. And you can use it day to day to day to day, as long as you don't have management issues with them going in and out.
Right, right. And I mean, if you do have management issues, I would definitely get administration involved and they will shut that down real quick.
Yeah, and let me
Um,
know if there's a problem as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Nuke. I see you trying to raise your hand. No, I still can't hear you. I can just read your lips. I think it might be your headphones, to be honest.
Can you type your question?
Oh, that's a good idea, Verge. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Anybody else have questions or want to see something again?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Ashley, I know that you asked for a walkthrough. Is there anything specific that you want to take a look at? You're muted.
I think you just kind of explained it better by going and creating the groups.
Oh, the groups? Okay, awesome. Yeah. And I mean, this is super flexible. Slides is one of my favorite Google apps because it's totally just a blank slate. And I mean, I can show you how to put pictures behind them or color change. Like it's endless. It really is.
It works like Microsoft, right?
Yeah. So Microsoft, the presentation, PowerPoint. There you go. I'm like, I can't even remember what that's called now. It is. I personally think it's better than PowerPoint.
Okay.
Yeah. Once you get to know it, it's just about getting to know it. They call things a little different, but it's the same thing.
Okay.
Jody, where would we save these templates for everyday use?
Oh, that's a great question.
Where would we store them?
So I have a Google Drive, just like you all do. I'm just going to pull this over here because I think it's easier to see. So Drive can be a black hole, especially if it's not organized.
Thank you.
So you can see I have a lot of folders. I'm just going to read Nuke's question. I'm sorry. I don't have a roster yet, but as an inclusive teacher, do I just need to ask the teachers to put me into my kids' groups? So you're talking about your kids' groups like the breakout rooms, right? So if you are in the big group meet, when they preview, you'll all, just like the kids will have access to the links and they'll see the preview, you'll be able to click on the links too. So as long as you are there for that, you can, of course, always ask the teacher to share their document with you. So that way you have the links ahead of time if you need them. So just jumping into Drive really quick.
And Nuke, you might need to go ahead, and I don't know how to do this. I'm sorry, Jody. I don't know how you would do this, but let's say you went into an English class and the teacher has them, going, okay, well, now we're done with our whole group. We're done for the day. You go do your work on your own. But you're like, whoa. I want to meet with this person, and this person. How would Nuke do that as not being the original presenting teacher?
So what you're saying is you want to now have a meet with the individual students that you're meeting the accommodations with or something, basically? Yeah. Okay. So that's going to be a conversation that you have with those students. And the way that I would probably go about it is if I were to, let's say you're meeting with them on the Friday, just because I have Friday open. So I would create a new event. And I would tell them, I would call it, maybe O'Brien's group, whatever you want to call it, right? And you're going to invite those students to that group. You're going to give them the Google Meet, and it has to be an expectation that after they are in their reading class, okay, well, now you've got your one-on-one time, you're doing that with me, so this is the meet we're doing. And you're basically setting it up like an appointment. I can show you how to make appointment slots if that's also something that you need to do for those kids. So if you just click on the date that you're doing it for and click on more options, meetings, and then what you can do, we have to not make it all day. Let's say we're doing it from 10 to 11. And then that didn't work out right. It totally happened right when I opened it, and then I opened it. Okay. If you don't know how to do that, that's probably one of my favorite things. If you ever X out of something and you did not mean to, Control-Shift-T brings it back. It's an undo button, just so you know. Yeah, Control-Shift-T. Okay, so once you click on it, oh, it was right there. You just make it appointment slots. Do you see where I did that, everyone? Yeah, okay. Just up, instead of an event, you make it an appointment slot. And you could just say, right, O'Brien's Kids, if you wanted them to make appointments. You can actually change the duration. Maybe you only want to meet with them for 10 minutes. And now you can share this link with the kids and they can sign up for an appointment. So you can also do it that way. You know, if you want to make it where, no, you have to be here for the entire half hour and we're doing it a small group, then everybody gets the same link. If you want to spend, 10 or 20 minutes with the kids individually, okay, I have this half an hour, 45-minute block. You can choose when you sign up for the appointment. So again, you would just go to the appointment page. You can share this link with them and they would be able to look for an appointment slot. Tells me that there are none for today because I put it back in January. But that's essentially what you would do. I do have a video for appointment slots. If you want, I can share that with you. It's a little bit better than me doing it like this on the fly.
Jody, I just want to clarify something. So if the teacher makes, let's just say Ashley has made her small groups, and
Okay.
as a coach, I'm going to go into her Google Class, and then I want to drop into each of her, or maybe only 2 of her groups. How would I get into her groups? I'm co-teacher on her thing, but I'm not presenting.
Okay, so if she's presenting and she has taken this, right, and she took away this edit part and made it a preview slide where you just type in preview, and then that's the link you're going to give. So you're going to copy this link and that's going to be what you show them. You can even share this with the kids and they will never be able to edit it or anything like that. She can give it to you like this and you'll never be able to edit it or anything. You will only have the preview version. But if she leaves this up on the main classroom and you hop into the Google Classroom and you hop into that link, you'll see this.
Okay, so as long as it's up, I can click in to join any of the ones that are there. Okay.
Right. Yep.
All right. Remember that, guys. So
yes,
we need
and
access
that might
to it.
be, so that might be the benefit of, I don't know if you're going to know who is in her group A, B, C, and D, and maybe that's why
Right.
you do want the student names up. So you guys are going to have to figure those little details out where you're going to, if you're going to want the student name or if you're not going to want the student name and how you're going to share that information.
I know for sure, guys, that as a coach, I'm in and out all the time, and I'm going to be popping in and out. But I also know that admin is going to want to pop in and out. So when you have them in groups, you need to make this available so that if Ms. Rivera or Dr. McDonough is walking through, that then they can just click in and go in and see what's in one of those classes. So keep it accessible in the classroom that somebody would enter into. And I'm not quite sure how that would all look on your screen or how it would all look on my screen, but it's something to think about.
What I think would be beneficial to you in that thought is that if you had this up and you just mute it, or, I mean, really, you can ask your kids, okay, we're done with our big group, X out of that. So that way they don't have the background noise. Nobody should be in it but you and maybe a co-teacher. So there really shouldn't be background noise coming from it. So that way, if you do have Rivera that pops in because she has your classroom code and that's where she's going to pop in, you still have it open, it's still presented and up and they can see it and click into the breakout room if they need to. Mute it, maybe don't mute it. That's kind of up to you on whether or not you care that Rivera's there. I'm not somebody who does, but if you do, then maybe you want to keep it up. Maybe you want to not mute it. That's up to you and your preferences.
Yeah, no matter how comfortable we are, we need to make sure that we have it accessible and that we have some kind of system in place because that's what it's going to look like. People are going to be walking through and they need to have access. So just as you're planning, guys, think about that. And I know that we'll all perfect it as we go along, but just think about that as part of your management piece. Okay.
Okay, so Ashley just asked, oh, and I missed one. I'm actually going to set up a class with my ESE caseload students. That's a really good idea because then you have a classroom code that they can just go into. And then Ashley asked about appointment slots. So I just clicked on it, made it reading, hit appointment slots. This is all day, which is not realistic, but we're just going to leave it for the time being. You're just going to hit save. And then when you open this, you can go to the appointment page, next available appointment slot. And then, so you've given them this link, right? You give them this link. You can copy it from here if you want. And then they're just going to go to the next appointment slot and just sign up.
I wish I would have known about this a long time ago.
Yeah, so then they pick what they want to do. They hit save. I've booked an appointment. Okay, great. And now you can see that's not available for anybody else. Okay, so then somebody else comes and they hit it and they click save. Okay, great. Now that appointment is blocked and nobody else can have it. And I can go back into mine and I'll see that people have made appointments with me. So that's how that looks.
That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
You're welcome.
If there are no other questions, Jody, and I'll pause to let people see if there are no other questions, but can you wrap it up by going all the way back to the beginning and doing a walkthrough now that people have more information and what that looks like from start to finish, and we'll listen carefully and watch carefully with more knowledge this time. Well, now we know more and we know what we're looking for.
Totally, absolutely. Okay, so not a problem.
Any questions before she does that?
Right.
Any questions? No? Okay.
Not yet. Okay, so we have our template and you can choose whichever template you want. Okay, that was part A, having your template, figuring out what students are actually going to be grouped together. Part 2 was the mute tab, making sure that you have this extension so that way you can actually mute the tabs that you're going to open. And part 3 is linking them. So going into calendar, creating an event. I'll just create one real quick, reading. I'm going to edit it because I didn't even put a Google Meet. We're going to add this Google Meet link. I am going to copy it. The shorthand for copy is Control-C. And then I'm going to go back to the Google Meet link. I'm going to click on the little button that you've chosen. Again, it doesn't even have to be click to join. You can make this whatever you want it to be. You can put it here even if you want them to just click on Group A, because you can link anything. So you can see here it says link. You can see that the shorthand is Control-K, and you're just going to paste it and apply it. Go ahead, Nuke. I see you have a question. Do you want to type it? I don't know. Oh, you don't. You're good. Okay. And then you're going to do that for every single one. So you need 4 different links, and you can make them all on the same day. It doesn't matter, right? This can be reading B. You're going to edit it to make a link. You are then going to copy that link like so. Copy. Just go back over, click the next one, and link it. And you're just going to keep doing that until you have links for all of them. Then the next part, but we only need to do this once. Yes, you only need to do this once, so that way you're reusing those links over and over again
So
for that management purpose.
For that whole year,
Right.
that's what I'm using.
Yep.
If you label them this way, Karen, you just move your kids inside of it, but
Yep,
you
right.
don't have to change your groups.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's
Yep,
why I
and
like
then-
the ABCD or whatever the dogs, the cats, the birds, and the alligators, whatever you want to call it. Authors' names, books, whatever, groups, but you move those groups. We know we move groups because we do flexible grouping, right, guys?
Yeah, right.
Yes,
So-
we do flexible grouping.
If you want to, that's actually a really cute idea. If you want to do them by books, I think that's great. What you can do is if you go into this fill, that little paint bucket, and you make it a custom, you can make it the gray, but then make it transparent. And when you hit OK, you can't really tell. You can see that it's white. But what's really awesome about it is now you can actually insert a picture. I know this is like this is like a totally different topic. And now I'm just helping you like make it look pretty. But you can search the web. You don't have to actually leave slides for this. What's a book that you guys read? I'm sorry, I don't know that.
Night
Night.
without a K.
I knew that. Oh, but it's a book. So let's say that it's a book. All right. So I don't know why, but I don't think that it's any of these.
Yes, it's right up there. It was the very first one. Night.
one?
but- Yep.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so you're just going to collect it or select it. So it has that check. You're going to hit insert. It's going to create this image, and we're just going to shrink it down. I know I did that a little fast. I just grabbed it by the corner and shrunk it down, and we're actually going to put it right over it. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to change the order to send it to the back. And now group A is right over the book.
Cool.
It just kind of looks pretty.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's cool.
So again, you can play with this, and it really is just a blank slide waiting to get some love. So you can have fun with it. You can make it animals if you want. You can make it destinations. If the picture doesn't fit this size, you can change the size of the box. If this is too transparent, you can change how transparent it is. You would just go back to custom and make it less transparent, just so you guys can see what that looks like. So the possibilities are really endless. It's just about how much work you want to put into it.
And then once you've created these links, the 4 links,
Mhm.
and maybe with the group size, you might only want to do 3 or how many ever groups you want. Then you're going to put it in your drive, saving
Okay,
it.
so you don't actually have to put it in your drive. That's a common misconception. Everything you do through Google is automatically in your drive.
Sorted
Okay,
in your
so-
drive.
No, so it's automatically in your drive in a random place if you don't
Right.
choose to put it somewhere.
Right,
So
there we go.
you can see that, like, this is my old school folder for last year. And I have all my units. So these are all my units. So anytime I'm going to create something for that unit, I already have the folder. I'm going to click it. And before I even open a slide, I'm in this folder. So that way, when I click new and hit slide, it's going to be created right in that folder. So that's an easy way to keep yourself organized just a little. Like, even if you just start with a school year 21 folder and everything you make for the school year starts in that folder, you'll be a little bit more organized than you were before. When I first started organizing my drive, I went into my drive and I was like, okay, I don't teach 6th grade anymore. All of my 6th grade stuff somewhere else. And you can see here it says previous school year. And this is just all my stuff from, I taught middle school for 5 years. I don't want to not have that stuff. I don't want to delete it, but it's not, I don't need it, right? I just don't need it right now. So it is in a folder all by itself. You can see this is tons of other things that I have that are just out of sight, out of mind. It did take me a while, and you can see my drive is really not that organized. I still have a lot of things that are out and floating around, but we're not perfect. We're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to be a little bit more organized so that way we're more efficient. So I would find your stuff from last year and just put it in a folder if it's not already organized, just so that way you have something to look back into instead of scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Of course, you always have this search option. So I knew that I had this Google Breakout Room template, but I don't remember where it is. I don't remember necessarily what I called it. I just knew that it had to do with breakout rooms. So I just searched breakout rooms. And then everything that has that title or anything related to that is going to come up. And I was like, oh, it's right here. Silly me, right? So don't forget that Google is a search engine and it searches very well. That is where they started. So don't forget that you have that, because it will definitely help, especially when you're organizing, because you've probably called, if you had never organized and maybe you were doing like unit 1, lesson 1, well, search for unit 1 and you can put all of that stuff together into a folder. which if you don't know how to do that, it is really easy. You can do more than one thing at once. I know we're not really looking at breakout rooms now, so I apologize. But if you hit shift and click many things, you can click multiple things. And then if you right click, you can move it. Not all of these things are mine. That's why it doesn't want me to move it. So I'll just do the one that is mine, which is not that one. So when you right click, you see the move to, and then you can have the option of going into your drive and putting it in a specific place where you want it. I do have a folder that is dedicated to templates. So if you want to have something like that, you can. Of course, I have different templates for different things. So it's not just one folder for templates because that would be too simple. I have like Avid templates, and then I have science templates, and like those different templates are in different spaces. So you have to realize that your drive is not going to be set up like my drive because we don't think the same way. We do not organize the same way. I don't know all of you very well, but I can tell you for a fact we don't, just because that's how people are. We're very different. So however you normally organize, that's how I would tell you to organize your drive. You can also add emojis because when you have these, you can see that mine are alphabetized, but there are some things that I just want more accessible. I want them to be at the top. So I gave them a Bitmoji or an emoji, emoticon. I don't know what all the different things are called, but you can see it's got a little picture. So it brings it right to the front. So that way it takes the alphanumeric part out of it. So I have my top folders right here. You can also star the folders. So that way you have your starred section. So like the folder that we have for our lesson plans, I store that because it's not in my drive, but I need it very much accessible. So this is our new science folder, I apologize. Our new lesson plan folder that I just got from McDonough or Rivera. I don't remember who sent it out, but I'm sure you guys also got one. So what I did is I just right click it and it says remove because mine's already starred, but you can add it to your starred list. And then it has it right in this section. So you don't forever have to go finding that file or folder. Okay, so that's a really easy way to help you guys also. I also have my PLC folder here because again, my coach is the owner of it. I am not the owner of it. So I can't have it in my drive, but I can have it in my starred section. So that's just another quick tidbit.
Thank you.
Any other questions while we're here? You guys are more than welcome to ask me questions about other things besides breakout rooms if you have other questions. No?
Nope.
Okay. All right, awesome.
You need to practice.
Practice, yeah, practice is really key. I didn't know how to do breakout. I mean, not that I didn't know how to do breakout rooms, but I taught myself this to be able to show you guys. It's not really hard. It's just figuring it out. I think the hardest part is people get stuck and then they don't know what to do and then they get frustrated, and it's really hard to do anything when we're frustrated. So I tell my kids this too. Before you get frustrated, stop and ask for help. I don't want you to be frustrated. That's not the point of this. So if you've already gotten to the point of frustration, you've tried too many times and basically failed and not figured it out. That's not what we want. I don't want you guys to struggle. I want you to struggle to the point of, okay, I got this. This might be hard, but I can handle it. I don't want you to struggle to the point of, okay, I need to tap out because I have no idea what I'm doing and this is so stressful. No. Take a deep breath. It's okay. We all go through it and just ask for help. It's cool. We're here. Sometimes I might ask, so if this, I'm just going to tell you guys, if you guys ask me a question, and I probably did this with Verge, I might come back to you with a lot of questions. Don't feel like I'm attacking you. It's because I want to make sure that I'm giving you the information that you want. And sometimes people, just like our kids, they don't actually know how to ask questions all the time. We don't always either, especially if it's something that we're just learning for the first time, or we are struggling and we're trying to figure it out. So if I'm asking questions, it's only because I'm trying to help you the best I can. It's not because I don't think you know what you're doing. I just am trying to figure out where you're actually struggling. So.
And as Google adds more and gets more sophisticated with their breakout rooms, Jody has already agreed to come back, but I really wanted her to come now before we even get into preschool, so you could start to wrap your head around this. So
Yeah.
I appreciate this. Jody, how are you going to share these templates? How are they going to get them? And
So
make sure
I
that you copy it. Go ahead.
So I dropped the link in here in the chat. I'll drop it again. So that
It's
should
in
be the
the-
link
It's in the
in the
chat.
chat. Yeah, so if you
Okay.
open up the chat, you should be able to open that, and that should be the templates.
Okay.
If you're looking for the mute extension and you can't find it, that's the link straight to the Google Chrome platform. So that way you can download that and add it to Chrome. So that way you guys have it, you can play around with it. If you guys want to, have your own little like PLC and try using the breakout rooms to see how the mute tabs work, I think that's an awesome idea. I just came up with it.
We're gonna do that next week, guys. We're gonna use the breakouts so that
Awesome.
we can do that. I want to remind you to make sure that you once you open that you make a copy of it. That's often one of my biggest problems when I'm sharing the lessons, is that there's always one person who doesn't make a copy of it, and then they start doing the changes on it, and then I get a bunch of emails on why is this changing. So please make sure that you make a copy of it and then organize
I'm going
it.
to share with you, Verge, because if you have that issue a lot, I'm going to tell you how to share your thing so you don't have that issue anymore. I'm sharing this with you because I'm assuming that you guys all know how to make a copy and you're all going to do that. But when you share something with your students, that's not the case. So the same way that I showed you how you find the edit and erase everything after, and then you put preview, you could do the same thing and put copy. And what that does is it forces them to make a copy. It will not even show them this. So I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
just so you
do
guys
that. Let me see
right?
that. Let me see that.
You copy the same way. Copy this. And now I'm going to drop the link for you so that way you guys can see what it looks like. So go ahead and click on it, and it'll bring you to make a forced copy. So you have to make the copy to be able to use it. And that automatically puts it in your drive. You have a copy. You don't have my copy. And it just kind of makes it a little easier for you. So sometimes this is also really good for assigning to Classroom. So I used to always make a copy for every student. And whenever I have an assignment and I have an attachment, I make a copy for every student. What you might not know is that in Google Drive, you have a Classroom folder. And every time you do that, you have every single one of those copies, which is great for a student that maybe deletes it, can't find it, whatever, because then you automatically have that copy. You can just reshare it with them. Awesome. Do you really want your drive to be all of those copies of these students' work? Maybe, maybe not. So if you don't want to do that, instead of adding an attachment, you can add a link and add the link of the forced copy. And then they get their own copy. They are responsible for it. And then they are also responsible for adding that copy to the assignment, which is always really a good thing to get them to do, because otherwise they just turn it in and it's like, yeah, but you didn't give me anything to look at. You just hit the turn in button. And I get parents that say that, well, everything says it's turned in. Yes, it is turned in, but there is nothing actually turned in. They just hit the turn in button. So these are, again, just good skills for our students and just another way of assigning things and looking at them.
Thank you so much, Jody.
Yeah,
Everybody good? Any questions? Good?
Oh, I like all the thumbs up. Awesome.
Jody, thank you. We appreciate your time. This
It's
is
my
going to be a
pleasure.
great year. We're going to work together. We're going to get all of this done. Thank you, Sadine and Emma and Nuke and O'Brien for taking your time, and for those who already had to leave. I really do appreciate all the extra work we're doing. So thank you so much.
I'm just going to ask you, I just dropped one more thing. If you could just fill out an evaluation form for me, I would really appreciate it. So that way Google knows that I am still doing trainings and you guys are giving me feedback and all that good stuff. So thank you so much. Again, if you guys have any questions about breakout rooms, anything Google, anything tech related. Even if I don't know the answer, I have a whole team of people that I work with my Google Educator group. I will find out how to help you guys. So please do not think twice about reaching out.
Thank you, Jody.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad I could help.
And you're going to share the recording so I can share it with the people who couldn't be here, yes?